Hey, what's up guys, Jeremy here. Let's talk about program events, or how to activate or deactivate your tool at a specific time in a curve photo project. Let's get started. As usual, we are starting with the same example we had in the last video. So this time we will talk about how to activate or deactivate the dispensing gun at a specific moment in your program. So if you look at the program we created here, if we run it curve corner here, just like that, we would like to start the dispensing of the glue just right here, and we would like to stop it just right there before we go for the retract. So I'm going to close this for a moment, and I'm going to bring back the robot to its home position. So here I have two Python macros that were kind of there since the beginning, but I didn't talk about. So it's gun on and gun off. If you double click gun on, it will run the script. So you can see it at the bottom of my screen here running Python script. And if you move the robot around, you will see that we are kind of leaving a trace or some little dots everywhere we are going. And if I double click gun off, then I move, I just stop leaving those little dots. And if I press escape twice, those little dots will simply disappear. So the goal would be to kind of activate that Python macro here and then deactivate it here, or launch gun on here and launch gun off here. So if I want to do that manually, because I can do that manually, remember we can add program calls manually in the program. We did that for the conveyors. We did that a few different times in the tutorial so far. But here, if you look at your curved corner program that was created, there's kind of you don't see the instruction below. So that's weird. If I want to add something in it, I would like to see the instructions. So what you can do is just right click on it, and then you will see you have show instructions. If you click on show instruction, all the instructions of the path will appear. So I'm gonna move that to the side. By the way, as I already said, I'm not using that for the moment because it's not like the default behavior of RoboDK, and I want to keep things as default as possible for now. But there's a way to have kind of a dark or opaque background behind the tree here, so that you can better see what you're doing. I'm generally always working with that. I'm going to show you that in a kind of bonus video at some point. So maybe if you want that already, you can look in the training videos if that bonus video regarding either UI addition or opaque 3 exists. Otherwise, anyway. So here you can see you have all your motions. So if I look here, I can double click here, and then I can move from one point to the other. And here you can see we just reached the point where we want to start the path. So what I can do if I want to do it manually is I can right click here, either here or here, it doesn't matter. Click add instruction, program call instruction. I can select program and I can say gun on, click OK. Then I can look for another part of the path, maybe something like I can move here. You will see here with your the scroll bar will kind of bring you to the right motion. And I would like here just after this target here, or maybe this one here, I would like to right click, add instruction, program call instruction, and I would like to go for gun off, click OK, and perfect. So now if I run this program here, I will leave a trace of little white dots behind me. So kind of showing that I have activated the right piece of the path. Cool. And then it stops here, and then it moves up. Great. So that's a method to do it, but it would be even better if I could do that like automatically. So I'm going to delete the curve corner here. That's important. I'm going to explain you why later. Just don't want to cover that in this video, otherwise it will be a bit too long. Now if you click on Program Events here, you can kind of reduce the size of this window here. You have, we'll talk about that when we talk about robot machining project. We'll talk about that when we talk about speed and rounding in the next video. But here, let's concentrate on this block of options here. You have the option to automatically add either a program call or a specific instruction to your program by activating one or many of these options. So you can either select program start, path approach, path start on action, so on each point, path finish, path retract, or program finish. So if I click, let's say in this case, path start and then path finish, and I go click plus here, select program gone on, click OK. I could have just written down the name here, and I click plus here, select program here gone off, click OK, OK, and I click perfect. I'm gonna press escape here to remove the dots, click update, and then click simulate here. I will leave behind a trace with all the dots here. Great, just like that. I'm gonna leave it as is. By the way, this is kind of dependent on the speed at which the simulation runs. So if your simulation speed is very high, the dots will be kind of a bit more distant from one another, so it won't give you the same smooth stuff. Yeah, because it's more like timed with time instead of simulation ratio. Also, if you add a lot of those dots, it may be a bit hard on your computer. So if you have a, let's say, not as powerful computer, you may want to avoid using those dots. If you want to change the color, the size, and everything, you can right-click here and edit Python script. So if you know how to play a bit with Python, you should be able to do that easily. If you don't, just look through it. There's a few just settings that you can change easily. If you right-click here and show instruction, you will see that now we have the program call for gone on just after we reach this point here. So if I press escape, go to the first point, second point, third point, and here directly here we are launching gone on, and then we move forward. So that's awesome. And then at the end here we have our last point here, and then we go for gone off, and then we start our motion upward. So this way we're activating our gone on here and deactivating our gone off here. So obviously here I'm using a macro to add some a visual aspect to that gone on, gone off, or activation and deactivation of the tool here. But it could also be just like an IO activation that I have under, I could just have created here program call. Let's say instead I will go for dispense, or yeah, let's go for gone on again, but let's call it gone on 2. Right click, add instruction, and it could be a set IO instruction, and I could go for just IO 5 at 1 instead. And here under program event, I can select here gone 2, click OK. Okay. By the way, as soon as I open that one up, so right click and show instruction, if I create another one, it will create a copy, because RoboDK knows that I potentially modified it manually and it doesn't want to overwrite the potential modification I did. So that would be kind of sad if you did a lot of modifications and then RoboDK just overwrite it all. So in this case, I'm just going to delete it manually, and then right click, show instruction. And here I have my call for gun 2, and then in the real program, gun 2 will refer to set IO 5 at 1, and therefore potentially activating my gun if it's just attached to an IO. Last thing also, you can also just decide to, instead of here of having program call, just insert code. So if you know exactly what line or what lines of code you need to add to your program, you can just type them down here or copy and paste them from somewhere. We'll talk about that later when we will talk about like how to go from RoboDK to the real program, to the real robot. But this is a good way to just insert a piece of code that you know you need. And yeah, that's it. So here I'm gonna go back to gun on, click OK, delete this one, update. You might be facing here at some point a situation where you don't see the white dots. If it's the case, just right click and show instruction. For some reason, sometimes it doesn't appear, and if you show instruction and you run the program, now it works. It seems to be working fine now. Maybe this was a problem with another version, but anyway, that can solve the issue if you don't see the white dots or whatever color you use. By just right clicking and show instruction, now it will kind of show them. Okay, that's pretty much everything for this video. I hope it was helpful. I think this part is really useful because at some point you don't want to just follow a path. You want to follow a path and activate a program and activate a tool, so you can activate a routine here to initialize, let's say, the robot. If you need to do some polishing and you need to go get some compound for the polishing, you can do that here. You can do something before the path approach on action, so at each point, so you can maybe take a picture if you're doing some inspection or something like that at each point, at retract, path finish if you want to do some kind of closing algorithm or closing subprogram, you can call it there. So very useful, and as always, you can always modify it manually afterwards by right-clicking show instruction and then playing with the different commands you have. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to properly set up your speed for the operation speed and for the approach and retract. And we'll also talk about the rounding instructions or how to have a fluid motion from start to finish with your program. In any case, have a great day, guys.